Hello, everyone. Welcome to Masego Empire. Welcome to today's program titled The Teacher's Diary. It's a program that we have decided to bring to our landscape to acknowledge and listen to the stories of our teachers in Ghana, in Africa, and those who are in the diaspora. Today's discussion is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a discussion of revealing certain interesting experiences that our guests might have had from birth to wherever he is now. So let me just bring our guests on board so that we kickstart the program. Call someone to also call another friend. Tell them that the program has just commenced. The teacher's diary, if you have any teacher's contact number, call him or her. Ask them to come and listen to the story of the teacher. Let me bring our guests on board.
Yeah,
Good.
am I audible?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you too.
Great.
Okay. Hi, people. I'm so excited to introduce our guest who has his bachelor's education in educational technology from the Valley View University and a master's degree in measurement and evaluation from the Great University of Cape Coast. He's actually a seasoned professional, and having transitioned from teaching, he brings his expertise to the African education world, contributing his valuable insights to the education arena. Welcome to our community, my brother, Divine Kpe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm privileged to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, my brother. I believe everything is moving on smoothly.
Yeah, we are doing well here, and I trust everything is well in Canada too.
Yes, by God's grace, everything is well, except, you know, this is the snow city, so we are actually struggling
Okay.
with the cold.
Okay, I can imagine. Yeah. All
Okay,
right.
okay. So, my brother, what keeps you moving in and out of Ghana?
All right. Basically, it's about education. uh, Talking about improving quality education in
Okay,
Ghana and the other West African countries that Africa Education Watch operates. We're talking about Nigeria, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. These are the four countries that we operate in. So our webcasts across here in Ghana. So basically, what has been keeping me busy is to promote quality education, which is the SDG 4, the attainment of the SDG 4 by 2030 in West Africa countries. But much of my time is spent in Ghana.
okay. Thank you very much. Being a young, promising, maybe one-time teacher,
Yeah.
I've been wondering, reading your profiles on LinkedIn, I have been wondering, as young as you are having those credentials, something was actually something was actually telling me this is a gentleman from some rich family who was born with the golden spoon in his mouth. My brother, can you please share maybe a bit overview of your upbringing and how that has influenced your education?
All right. Let me start by saying you got it all wrong, thinking that I have it all or born
Okay.
with a golden spoon in my mouth. Not at all. I am the last of seven children,
Okay.
and I have four brothers and then two sisters. So I grew up in a community called Habe in the water region of Ghana.
Okay.
And that's where I had my basic education.
Okay.
My mother was a petty trader, not even what she was trading was in oil production, palm oil production, or we can say red oil
Okay.
production. My father was a stenographer, producing excise books, distributing to schools, stores for sale, and any other books that needed to be designed. They were doing that. It was olden days, so they not until today that we have computers, and computers are helping with those stuff. They have different machines that they were using. So when the computer quickly took over the space, he didn't upgrade his skills, so he was out of job. And that was one of the struggling moments because mom had to do most of the stuff. So, but they did very well as much as difficult things were in a family. One thing that they didn't play about was our education to ensure that all of us have the best of education, the best to their very ability. So um, I may miss out paying school fees on time, but eventually it will be paid. And I know those days, if your parents don't pay school fees, you will be the one receiving the brunt of the whole issue. The teachers will punish you and those things. So yeah, I've received countless canes just because school fees was not paid on time. And but I love education, so I'm always um, ready to go to school, whether I know that they are going to came in because I didn't pay fee or not. I'm still going to school, and I better go and be paid rather than stay at home. So eventually they paid, yes, and they ensured that I completed my junior high school. And after junior high school, I went to Beje Senior High School, also in the Volta region, where I studied geography, economic, elective maths, and then uh, government as my elective options. So I had that over there, my secondary school education over there. Because of that losing his job or being out of job, I went to Benin to stay with one of my teachers and my sisters there, who actually took over with my education, settling the cost of my education from a secondary school level. So that responsibility was shielded off from my parents and my sister, who I'm eternally grateful to for all the support over the years. My name's Celestina Grady. So she helped me through my secondary school education, my pay, my school fees. I wasn't too bad, an academic bad student. I do quite well. So at secondary school, they were very hopeful that I was going to make them proud. So my sister was also ready to put in money, but knowing very well that I'll do very well in school. So after 3 years of secondary school education, um, completed in 2008. I was home one day and then I received call from the head of the school that I needed to come to the school. I went and they told me about already before we even completed, we knew about that initiative. They call it Let's Endow School Scholarship Initiative.
Okay.
So if you enroll in Let's Endow School and you do relatively well in the WASI, KNUST and other university will offer you free admission, and you don't even need to apply before they based on your results they give. So that year, I understood that myself and one other lady, we were privileged to receive that Let's Endow School privilege, Endow School Award. So the school sent me the admission letter KUST to study land economy. But the nature of the Let's Endow School scholarship was that a it gives you free admission by way of applying for to the school before they giving you the slot.
Okay.
But when it comes to the school fees, you're supposed to do the payment, significant part of the payment, and so it's not like entirely cost-free scholarship, but to say, oh, you have done well, you can have a space in our school. So we are giving you a space in our school to have a steady learn economy. So I was glad that I received that. So when I went home, I took the letter to my sister. She asked whether I wanted to pursue that. And I said yes, I wanted to. And I would have regretted today if I were to continue. God has His own ways of doing things. The edge was just there to go to university because my colleagues were going to university. Whether I was going to do land economy, I wasn't even sure about that. Or I didn't care about the course I was going to do. But today I was asking myself if it is now economy I've gone to do there, where my path would have been different. Maybe we not even be talking here today. You understand? So my sister told me, well, she wasn't having university money, so she encouraged me to go to College of Education. Um, she has been helpful, and of course, I know the family I'm coming from. My mom doing pamper production, selling it as a small scale, not a large scale production, and daddy out of job. I just had to understand not to stress my sister. So I accepted to go to college, St. Francis College of Education. And that's where my journey of becoming an education person started.
Okay, thank you so much. This is an interesting overview that you have just given us. But before we maybe possibly delve into what went into maybe your studies at St. Francis College of Education, I would like to find from you what were some of the challenging moments that you had faced at Kpe Senior High Technical.
All right. At Kenya Senior High School, again, my sister alone was the one responsible for paying the school fees. So, yes, the major challenge was ensuring that I keep to pay my school fees and also paying it on time. That was the major challenge. It was still bothering about finances. Aside that, there was no major challenge because the courses, especially my elective, I was doing well in them. They weren't a challenge to say, okay, maybe the courses I was finding them as a difficulty, not at all. Once I sit down and study, I get them. So I was passing my term examination papers and progressing. Aside financial challenges, there wasn't any challenge that I encountered. I really had a good time over there. And there were moments that maybe because you didn't pay on time, you'll be absent-minded in classroom while lesson is ongoing. But aside that, there wasn't any other difficulty. So yes, sorry. So aside that, there wasn't any difficulty. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you can
that's so
come.
interesting. That's so interesting. But so who actually maybe advised you to go and study maybe general arts, or it was your sole decision to do that?
I missed the question. Please come with it.
I was asking of maybe who advised you to go and study general art, the course that you have studied at Kpeje Secondary Technical. Who
Oh,
advised
okay,
you to go and study
okay.
that course, or maybe
Right.
your mom, your dad, or
Actually,
your people?
okay. You see, the unfortunate thing was we growing up, we didn't even know about career paths. There was no anything like career choices, what courses to do. So it was just like general in my town that year. General art was the buzzword. And
Okay,
all the seniors that go to secondary school and come back, what are you studying? I'm studying general arts. The next person, I'm studying general arts, the general art. So my choice of general arts actually flowed from the fact that a lot of people were studying
okay,
general art.
general.
So it wasn't because I had the mind of becoming this. That is
Mm,
why
mm,
I went to study general art. But the funny thing is that even when I was in GSS, my edge was much more in agriculture. And those days, agriculture was an elective or was one of the
Yes.
subjects in JSS. So I was like, oh yeah. So we're learning about some career in agric, and becoming an agriculturist was actually something I taught when I was in GSS. So at TSS, through the study of agriculture, I had a mind of becoming an agriculturist. So now, and then after that, people come from school, seniors come from school because I was studying general science, general art, general art. So I didn't even choose the agriculture when I was selecting courses to study
Mm.
in secondary school, just because a lot of people in my town who went to secondary school were following that option. Also, my brother that I followed directly also studied general art. So I said, okay, I think that is it. So I also went there to do that. And when I was in secondary school, when I got to secondary school, I was trying to be clearer on my career path over there,
Okay.
and I thought of becoming an economist. I love economics a lot. I follow the economics news so seriously. When those days was the Dr. Bawedu, who was the finance minister. I just love that man. And I was like, yeah, I want to become like that man. He's a good and astute economist. I'll go to the school library, read up in the daily graphic, the economic session, what were happening in the economic front. So I wanted to actually become an economist. That's why when KUST offered that later and he said, can study land economy, I didn't even know what land economy was, but I was thinking, well, once it has the word economy, maybe
Economy.
maybe it has something to do with economics. So I
Mm.
said, okay, maybe it has something related.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to go and do the land economy, but later on I realized that it was later, far, far, far later that I even realized that land economy had nothing to do with
With
economics.
economy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those were some of the disadvantages, of those days growing up in a rural area. You have nobody giving you career guidance. You have
Mm.
nobody telling you what you can become, what you need to study to become this. Those are some of the disadvantages, but we thank God that we were able to navigate through the challenges and still find our path. And I'm glad about the path I am on now.
Okay. Thank you. So based on the discussion that we were having from the beginning, you had indicated that your sister was supporting you, giving you all the necessary support from secondary school till the time you had admission to go and study your land economy. But what really inspired you to become a teacher, to go to St. Francis College of Education?
All right. So, like I mentioned, there was no idea of becoming a teacher. It never crossed my mind. Uh, when I received the letter to study the land economy at KUST, and my sister said she wasn't having university money, college, that one, the cost was relatively lower compared to secondary school. So I had to opt for that. She said, okay, she could help me to go to college. So that's when I bought the admission form, and I had the admission to St. Francis, and I entered there. Uh, yeah, so it wasn't my initial plan to become a teacher. But when I got to the school, within the first few months of my stay, I felt at peace. And look, this is something I wanted to do. So it was, let me say, within 6 months of being in school, that I decided that I wanted to become an education specialist.
Okay.
So I had that defined right away within 6 months of staying in school. So look, this is nice. I was studying about the education theories. I was studying about how to teaching and learning, the theories, all of them, the pedagogy things, the content. Look, and beside that, I was reading around education, what somebody can become in education in general, aside being a teacher. If you are somebody that follows the part of education, studying in the field of education, what can you become? So within some shorter space of time, I said, look, this is what I want to do. I'll be a teacher, but beyond being a teacher, that I won't be that limited just to have the knowledge of teaching the kids, but to have knowledge about the education sector of Ghana and outside Ghana. So I want to specialize in education in general so that I become an education consultant one day. So I quickly got myself settled in within 6 months of being in school. and I accepted that this is what I want to do. So beside the stuff that they were teaching it in school, I was reading other materials that were related to education those days, just to be clearer on the path that I wanted to be on. And I told myself, yes, I'll teach, but I don't want to, I won't teach for this. I won't teach for this X number of years or beyond this X number of years. I want to go beyond that and establish myself as an authority on educational issues, and beyond teaching, be able to influence education policy, not just in Ghana, but even beyond Africa. So, and I'm glad that I never envisaged this to happen so soon. I must say it's happened so soon. It's happened so soon because within a few years of teaching, I had to leave the teaching field and find myself in the policy space and begin to influence education policy and having engagement with Ministry of Education, GS, and other agencies of the ministry. And not just in Ghana, we engage other countries that we operate in. Yeah.
So when you had the realization that indeed this is what you had wanted to do, have you had the chance to maybe discuss it with any of your tutors to see if what you were envisaging was really a good thing?
All right. So the fact is, I never had that discussion with any of my teachers, but I I actually read quite a lot about it, like careers that people can actually broaden themselves in when they are teachers. So within short time, quickly, I after my browsing the internet, I discovered that there are people that are actually specialists in education and different areas of education, and even education in broad in entirety. I saw people working with UN as education specialists. Someone is with UNESCO, someone is UNICEF, and I follow those people online. Went to read about their profile, their educational background, and how they were able to get it. So I was clearer in my mind that what I have settled on is something that is attainable. So yes, I didn't have that engagement with any of my teachers, but I have virtual what do we call it, mentors, because I follow most of them online, connected with some of them, and saw what they were doing in the education space.
Okay, thank you. So what had been your favorite moment as a junior in college?
Well, college was interesting. I have beautiful moments in college. I would say, those days college was different from how college is now,
Yeah.
where there's so much issue about senior engineer. And one of the quotes when we entered college was, "A senior is a stone throw away from God. A senior is next to God." So it creates that fear in you. Create that fear in you. How to relate with your seniors, and if you do something bad, then you hear, "Oh, Divya Kawanuvon."
Mm,
Literally,
yeah.
it means that the guy has committed sin. Then the senior is taking you on. All those things, they made school fun. But most importantly, my beautiful moment was serving my course as their course rep. I had that opportunity within some short time of being in school. Let me say within 2 weeks of being in class, our colleagues realized that I could lead them as their course rep. So first year they made me their course rep, and I think I did well in that portfolio, serving them. And the second year, I had to become the SRC vice president, and also did my very best in that portfolio as well. So college had been a moment of serving as a student leader, right from course rep to SRC vice president, and later on serving as water tag sector administrator for the water tag sector, and then also the public relation officer for the water sector. So my moment in college had been more about, as time I studied, was also serving as a student leader, and they were all humbling moments because you had opportunity to serve and then also broaden your scope. You get to interact with people and debate. And yeah, I think one of the beautiful moments also in school was representing my hall for debates and then quizzes. Yeah, there were moments that we lost. There were moments that I represented and we won. And they were all humbling moments. I recalled one of the moments that we lost and I had to shed tears. But moments also that you win and you have enjoy. So yeah, your whole trusting you that you could represent them for a debate or quiz. It was humbling. I had a good moment in college.
Thank you. So, being a former SRC vice president, what are some of the challenges that impact the work of our SRCs in our colleges?
Well, I'll say it's not easy being an SRC person, especially being the president or being the vice. It's very demanding because while your colleagues are in class, probably you are having a different engagement somewhere. And you actually, if you are the type that is worried, oh, my colleagues are learning, I'm here. In fact, you can't do the work. You can't do the work because the work is demanding that at times you are out of class. And then while you should be studying the work, you are somewhere dealing with an issue. But on a whole, leading students wasn't easy. You know, leading your own college, there were challenges that we encountered. There were a lot of differences. Some stuff that the SRC will bring on board, but the students in general would want to oppose. And there were some elements that want to oppose some of the stuff that you do, although you think it's in the best interest of the entire student. There were some sort of opposition, and you still need to move on to build a consensus amongst even the opposing parties as to be able to do some of the stuff. It was quite challenging, but on a whole, we were able to build consensus on some of the issues and be able to still to get them attained. Uh, Again, your colleagues will continue to have doubts about you if you take some major decisions that are not in their interest. They feel, well, you are not for them, but sometimes there are hard decisions that you needed to take, and you cannot always be that you favor everybody in a school. It has to be a way that some people will surely disagree or even have be peeved about some of the decision or engagement that you would have had in the school. So it was having an experience. I know it was a learning experience as well. For me, one thing that I always say is when you are entrusted with a position, you should it is sort of a litmus test to see in future if you'll be able to become a good leader. So I always say when you are a student leader or you're in school and you're having those little position, to the very best of your ability, you should do very well to deliver because who
Mm,
knows? Those will be the same people in future that if they want to recommend you for this, I know this person can do it, he can't do it.
it's
So
very
if you
true.
deliver, yeah, if you deliver poorly, those people will be there one day to say, oh, he didn't do well. We don't trust him to do this when he was because when he was our leader, he didn't perform well. He did this. So I always say, well, when I entrusted to student leadership, it's kind of a test to see that in future, if your colleagues one day meet you with a bigger platform and give you a bigger platform to
Yeah.
even on a national scale to lead. Is this something that your colleagues can believe that you can do it? So you should use that moment to do your very best and be judged because of the future that could also be at stake.
Okay, thank you. So, briefly, why is it that the work of tag is not really felt in our colleges?
All right. Those days, tag wasn't that much autonomous. There were a lot of interferences. Unlike you go to universities, and then the student body is so powerful.
Yeah.
There were no interference from the school authority, and the students could speak their mind. There were a lot of uniformity and a unanimity in decision taking. And when it comes to tag, number one, the way we were in school, even you're afraid for your senior, let alone tutor or the principal. So you're afraid that if you take an action that is not acceptable by PRINCOF or even the teacher body, then
Mm.
you're going to be victimized. So
Okay.
student leaders that automatically even form the tag leadership, we were very cautious about
Mm.
how to become leaders, because if you become a tag leader, you are an interface between the school authority and then your colleagues.
Okay.
And if you don't have that power to stand up to them on issues that they want to go embark on that are not in favor of your colleagues, you don't have that autonomy, then it becomes
Mm.
difficult. And that autonomy wasn't there because you were afraid that you could be punished. Yes, I'm sure in your college you could be punished by a tutor to do A and B to A. So students were very careful about what action they may have embarked that probably could cause them to be in the bad book of a teacher or a tutor or even the principal. But the beautiful thing is that we are seeing reforms in our
Okay.
colleges of
Mm.
education.
Education.
And I'm sure in the very near future, when we see College of Education having the appearance of a full-fledged tertiary institution, that autonomy by the SRC and for that matter, tag will be there that they can be very much more influential.
Okay. Thank you. So, in your school of practice, how did you balance all that you were taught in first year, which was purely a theoretical studies, to what you were taught in second year, which were practically methodology of teaching? How did you implement that in your school of practice?
All right. So when I was posted in 2013. My first school was Peki Ajokwe AP Primary. I was to teach primary six.
Okay.
Um, I got there and uh, that day I came and then there was staff meeting going on and I joined the staff meeting. The CS, whom they now call the CISO, was there.
Mm.
We were doing introduction, and they said, "Okay, this divine new teacher posted handling primary six," and the CISO was like, how can a new teacher be handling class six? Just give classes to a new teacher just like that." And I, I felt well. Then that was a challenge to deliver for them to know that being a new teacher and handling an upper class
Mm.
is not a challenge.
Okay.
So I decided to do my very best, and I did I enjoyed myself as a teacher. There were moments that I had to give my very best. When I was studying it, I didn't study it in college, but like I mentioned, I was reading broadly around education and teaching in general. And in one of the studies, I came across a study that showed that if a student passes through the hands of successively passes through the hands of two teachers,
Okay.
that's that particular student recovery will become very challenging.
Yeah.
So if a bad teacher, that student means a bad teacher in P1, another bad teacher in P2.
Mm.
That student recovering, even in the next teacher, if it is the next teacher, if the next third teacher is good, it's even become difficult for that next third teacher, even the fourth teacher or the fifth teacher to do anything that magically could have changed the situation of the
Mm.
child.
Mm.
So I decided that well, I won't be one of those bad teachers that the child will pass through and then I'll create problem for the child recovering in the next class. So I decided to do my very best as a teacher, and I keep reading beyond what I studied in school as methodology, because I also agree that the very moment you are stepping out of college, things are changing in the classroom. What you have been taught as a methodology probably you get there may not even be applicable in the classroom, because you
In the
get there and then the
classroom.
nature of your students are even different.
Yes.
So you need to broaden your mind to learn new things outside of what you were teaching. So yes,
Mm.
I invested in reading around educational methodology, research articles, around educational methods, studying around other countries, what methods they were employing that could be helping their students, and decided to help my students that I was teaching. And I was very careful of how it actually works for every student. I know that not all students will not learn the same way. So some stuff may work for them and some stuff may not work for some others. So finding a way to blend the students within the class. But most importantly for me, I think what actually I'll say my high moment in the classroom is to ensuring that classroom is welcoming for every student. In fact, even if I don't know, if even if I won't teach well, assuming if I
Okay.
won't even teach well, the classroom alone should be welcoming for that
Okay.
student. The student should wake up and say, because I know class will be lively, will be lovely. I want to be in school just
Yes, ma'am.
because even if that child comes to school and didn't learn anything, that child wants to come to school just because he knows that school environment is welcoming. So I am very keen on that such that I won't let a student make the classroom unwelcoming for the colleague students. So basically, all students must see themselves as co-equals and they are not in competition. I don't create a competitive classroom. I create a classroom that students should see each other that they are co-working to achieve a common goal. So it is your goal to lift your colleague up. So if you are scoring A 1 1 1 1 in all the subjects and your desk mate is doing poorly, I hold you responsible as a student, your colleagues. You can't be getting 1 1 1 1 1 1 and the person sitting next to you in the desk will be scoring poorly. What are you doing to help your
Okay.
own colleague? So I created an environment that they see each other as their responsibility, their academic performance, and the total well-being of their colleagues and their own responsibility. So, and I made it. If you are not okay, you are not academically good. Also, make yourself available for a colleague to be able to help you. So they have mates that even if I'm not teaching, their own colleagues were really available to help them, teaching them stuff, and they cooperated with him. And that's how they carry each other on, so that the gap between the best performing student and the poor performing, they somehow they were close. And it wasn't my effort alone. I see it as an effort of the entire class because I made sure that those that were good were equally helping their colleagues. And if you are not too good, you should also be make yourself teachable to know that I want to be taught, and you make yourself available like that. You don't become so stringent. So this person cannot teach me. It's not a teacher. It's just my colleague. No. So for me, I think the best moment I have created when I was a teacher is that classroom is welcoming. We work as a team collaboratively. Everybody sees the success of the colleagues as their responsibility, including the students. And beyond that, I went to establish some clubs in the school. For instance, I initiated some projects. The Read Write project. The Read Write project was targeting students that were not achieving the minimum proficiency in reading. So we targeted them, providing them remedial teaching, for instance, extra classes or weekend classes, holiday classes, for just targeting students that could not read. And the focus was just to help them read and understand. For me, because I believe that if a student could just read and understand, the rest of the subjects, they could even handle it on themselves. And when I come to class and say this student is not doing well, I was like, no, that the person doesn't understand it. We are teaching in a language that the person is not understanding. So what is the most important thing? The most important thing is to help the student to read and understand in that language. Once the person grasps that, that child will do well in automatically. For me, I believe that the child will do well. Most of the students performing poorly in our school is because of the language barrier and the challenge. Because I'll teach something, and when I bring that same in the English, they will all be looking at me. But when I bring that in the local language, every you see all of them trying to say. I always tell my headmaster, not that our students are not good, they are not, they are good, but it is the language. But some of you,
Language.
yeah, some even they want to answer, but how to express themselves in that language is the barrier. So not that the students aren't good, if we can focus on helping them to read and understand and express themselves, trust me, those students will be doing very well. So I initiated a rewrite project targeting students that were not achieving the minimum proficiency in that. And then also later on brought about the safe school environment. Like I mentioned, I'm very keen on ensuring that classroom is safe. So I wanted to broaden it to the entire school environment. So I initiated a safe school project to ensure that school is violence free, whether it be
Okay.
sexual violence, psychological violence, physical violence, bullying, fighting, because I believe those unwelcoming environment affects the child's performance even
Yes.
in the school. Because when you
Exactly.
come to school and you are beaten, you fought with somebody, the next day if you are coming, you feel like no, I'll be beaten again, or somebody will be fighting. If somebody is bullying you in the school environment, you not even be okay in the classroom when the teacher is teaching. When somebody is abusing you psychologically, like calling you names, teasing you, all those things could affect you. Because me, I know I encountered it before. There was a day in junior high school. Those days, like I said, I was from economic disadvantage background.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when I was in junior high school, my school nika, there were two zeros at the back. You
Yes.
understand? Yeah,
Ah,
it got torn at the back.
yeah.
So because the nika got torn, at times I didn't like tacking it. I wanted the top to cover
Cover the.
the torn dress at the back. But the
Mm,
teachers who were not understanding me, they thought I just didn't want to dress
yeah,
very well.
it's
They
true.
were always caning me to tacking. They were not
Mhm.
even ready to engage me to understand what the issue was. But the most serious moment was when we were doing pre-vocational skills, and the one we were specializing in was the sewing.
Okay.
So when the sewing madam came to class and was teaching, and so she was teaching stitching, how to
Okay.
stitch your own
Mhm.
dresses and those things, talking about conspicuous, inconspicuous, how to stitch that the thread will not be showing, and how to stitch that
Yeah.
the thread will show, all those things. And she was doing that, and then the class was, madam, there's a torn dress here that we can use for demonstration, and then
Mm.
that. Yeah, I was sitting at the back, and they were referring to me. They were pushing me. Go to the front. The madam should use your bag to do the demonstration, and I felt so embarrassed.
Embarrassing. Yeah.
The madam did not even help to intervene in any way. She was also laughing, and I think it was one. I would say it was my worst moment in basic education,
Mm.
my basic school. I got home, I was crying. I was just crying. My mom came. I told my mom, "This is the issue. And I can't wait any other dress. They wanted me to wear your school nikah so."
There's
But
Nika.
I was glad my parents quickly put money together to buy me a new school uniform. So when I was just trying to school, that was a clear psychological abuse from your own college
Exactly.
student
Mm.
was even backed by a teacher. So if an environment is like that, there's no way. Like, you can imagine waking up the next day to go to school with such same nika. I only feel comfortable going to
No,
school.
not
And
at all.
even if I'm in class, I'll be absent minded because I'll be afraid what could happen next that they'll say that they'll use me for demonstration, let's call it. So I initiated a safe school project to address some of those issues of psychological abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and so to ensure that school environment is safe for learners.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, what were some of the challenges that you encountered as a teacher at the basic school?
Yeah, as much as you set out to do your very best, there were some barriers like the resources being available for you to
Mm.
use. I'll go and then do my study research and then get an feel like actually this resource should be available for me to help the learner suite.
Mm.
But you go, the school, you may have known that yeah, our schools are handicapped when it comes to
Mm.
learning resources or materials. So they were not really available. So teaching was quite difficult because how you wish you'd have taught the materials were not really available. For instance, I teaching it a science. There were moments that we could do what we call virtual labs where students could experiment in virtual. Then that could be helped with computer and internet connection. But you can't teach it. I learned those best practices from other countries where they can go to the internet and have a virtual laboratory that they can help their learning switch. You see those beautiful things from other countries, and there's no device for you to also use to help your student. There were moments that we were doing classroom exchange, such that I could connect my student to other countries where maybe my class's student and then another grade six student from another country, they could collaborate to exchange ideas. Maybe if it is Independence Day, they collaborate and then they learn about the Independence Day of that country. And that's just an engagement between the student from my class and then the student from the other class where they use the internet. And I don't see the resources available. We're always told to improvise, but I always say in 21st century we can't be encouraging improvisation because other students are seeing the real materials and they
Material.
are engaging with them. We need to be departing from this sort of improvisation and let our students have a feel of the materials, the real material. Aside resource constraint, there were moments that you will have opposition or challenges from your superior. Some of them were constricted to issues of trying to change the status quo. This is what we know, and this must be the same way you should do it. So they were trying to maintain the status quo, although you were trying to change it a bit, trying to bring out some innovation. So with them give you the support. You don't see the support like the projects that I talk about I initiated. Maybe you could just receive a support from your CISO, trying to see how best they could also mobilize resources or give a support by ensuring that the project, even as not only remain in your school, is scale up to the entire district. You are left on your own. And I also feel CISOs those days, I don't know if the same thing now, they come to school and they look like they are on fourth founding mission. Instead of the CISO should be a support system to the teacher,
Yeah.
helping the teacher to be able to deliver well. You see a CISO coming and you are not free within yourself. You're not comfortable because mostly they come. They just feel like they want to find a fault, and
But
you don't see a CISO supporting. So this is what this could be done differently. I encourage you. You are doing this. I encourage you to continue. The whole thing was like once they see a fault, that is what they were just to say they are doing their work, and that challenge was also there. And also, you learn some of the stuff you would want to ensure that it becomes a school culture, but maybe your school head is not ready for changes. So for me, I those are some of the challenges that I faced being a teacher. Yeah.
okay, thank you very much. So, at what stage of your teaching career have you written the book Cast Down But Not Destroyed?
You really read about me.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. So I think that was the third year of
Okay.
my work. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I was also into encouraging people to look beyond the present challenges that they were in. I was doing presentations, having a talk show for people, secondary school, moving from secondary school, holding seminars for student provide just because I didn't have the opportunity to have a career guidance right from the base. When I was teaching, I started a project like that to provide career guidance for students who were mobilizing students. I mobilized workers, we go to secondary school, we talk to students, provide career guidance, we go to junior high school to provide such guidance. So while teaching, I did a lot of travels to secondary schools and junior high school to provide talks and engagement to students. And I think that was one of the books written also just to encourage most, not just students, but entire readers, because the audience go beyond the student as well to encompass even the adults. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, finally, maybe this will be the final question relating to your classroom activities.
Yeah, that's fine.
Financial constraint has always been the problem of the Ghanaian teacher. What exactly is our problem based on your experiences?
All right. Yeah, the reality is that yeah, the teacher salary is meager, but the reality is also that it is comparatively among the Ghanaian peers. When we talk about Nigerian teachers, West African teachers in general, we say Ghanaian teachers salary is one of the best because it compares among them, and even beyond some of these West African teachers receive. But of course, we know that there's still more room for improvement. Although, because if you look at other countries, I don't think we are so close to what they receive as teachers yet. However, I also strongly believe beyond that, the very fact that the teacher's salary is inadequate, there is also this general lack of financial management on part of most teachers. If teachers could manage the meager salary very well, if they have sound idea in financial management, I'm sure some of the economic challenges that they meet, they wouldn't be meeting them. And then also, in my days, I realized that there was this urge to just rush to school after completion of college to go and do a course. There was no guidance or idea about what you even wanted to do with that particular degree. You're just rushing to school to do your degree. And then it puts a lot of people in financial stress because they had to borrow after school. They didn't even work a bit to save money, to ensure that they have some level of financial stability. Then quickly they wanted to go to school and then borrow money and go. That also created a lot of challenges for some people. So if there were to be a moment that some teachers relax a bit to save after working for a number of years, save, and then they are so clear in their mind that the next career option I want to take is this, and then also offer a course in that direction. It would help a good number of them. And generally there was this absence of financial literacy among teachers. So you see the loan for companies coming to school almost every day, selling products, the insurance companies selling products, and we were not having good idea about some of these products. And once we hear about the little juicy parts, quickly we want to enter into those insurances, or we want to take those loans without even taking a moment to read the policy in entirety, or the loan policy also in entirety. So it creates a lot of challenge for people. Some people want to back off even from their loan, the policy that they have signed. It becomes a challenge for them to be to pull out. So there were bad financial decisions that I know when I was teaching, a good number of teachers took. And it's very important that financial knowledge is increased among teachers to, first of all, manage their literacy resource, and then also when they want to seek credit facility, what they should seek out for before going for them. Yeah.
That's impressive. If there is any takeaway based on all the nice points that you have started raising for maybe some 50 something minutes now, my takeaway would be there should be enough financial education for teachers. If you want to go for any loan, at least we should always seek for advice or opinion
Yeah.
from people in respect of what we should do. And
Right.
the last one will be those is in insurance policies. You have
Yeah.
raised an important point there. Once they hear an aspect which seems to be so juicy to them,
That's
they
all.
are crazy, or we are crazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
I think that has been some significant points that you've raised there. But so what happened? All of a sudden, being a classroom teacher, maybe the next day you are this in a program officer at this is African Education Watch. What happened? Is it a dream? What really happened?
all right. So yeah, like I mentioned that while in college, I had my career path clearly established.
Mm,
I wanted to do stuff beyond the classroom. So even when I was teaching, I was writing articles. I was publishing educational articles in the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times, and some other national dailies. I pick some topical educational issues
mm,
and write on them. And through that, I had the opportunity of receiving calls from some media houses for interview. It started with Radio Universe, that is University of Ghana, the
Mm.
student radios there. So they were chancing on some of my articles that I was writing, and they were calling me for interview. And when they interview me, they write the online story based on the on what I've searched, and some other news portals. They'll pick those stories and also publish them. So I wasn't just a teacher teaching and then I said it should end there. I was much interested in the policy space. What is happening within the education policy? Not just that I'm a teacher and mine is to wake up to teach what is in the curriculum, I can't sleep, and I don't know what is happening to the education policy or what I've read the Education Act. Those days I was teaching, I've read the Education Act back to back,
Okay.
and already after reading I saw challenges with the act that I could even write article to critique some of the points. I was closely following Ministry of Education and some of the stuff they were doing. I was offering my opinion in the medium that I could have access to. So yes, I was a teacher, but I did not think that my work was just to teach. I felt I could influence policy as well, because at the end of the day, most of the policy will come and affects me as the one in the classroom. So if there's a way I could make inputs, I try by writing articles on them. So yes, beyond teaching, I knew I wanted to have a sound knowledge in the education space. So yeah, in the classroom, college teachers will come and ask me, "Oh, this thing, what is that? Do you understand? This thing is happening in the education space. Do you understand?" They said they are going to introduce it. What is your understanding of this? Yeah, so I had a lot of college teachers consulting me on some of the issues because I try as much after school. I engross myself in reading around education, not just in Ghana. I read around UNESCO articles that they publish often. I read most of their educational articles. So I have quite a broadened idea when it comes to issues of education policy, and then also sound teaching or training methodology or pedagogy. I was having some of this knowledge, and my edge all the way is that look, I should have a platform to bring them out beyond just the teaching. I love teaching. I must admit, I really love teaching. I had good moments with my students, and at times I miss them a lot. But while in the classroom, I felt yes, I could make more impact being outside the classroom, because if you are in a classroom, you are constricted. You won't have the platform to even influence policy like you would have wanted to. So at the end of the day, you don't even have the opportunity to even leave the classroom to go and attend a policy engagement influencing opportunity that may be available. So I was looking for opportunity that probably could have created itself or I could create to be able to come to the education policy space. So I'm always on the net, either reading or looking for the next opportunity. And that's how I came across Africa Education Watch. And I sent a message that, look, I do this A and B and C, I'm in the education space, I do this thing. And then I created a website. I was having a website for myself, publishing some of my articles on the website, the stories, the Radio Universe was writing, I was publishing some of them. But I sent the link to my website link to the executive director of Arian. Go and read some of the stuff I was doing in the education space while I was in the classroom. So he went. I didn't really know. I think yeah, he went to read it. The next comment, we were chatting on Twitter, which
Okay.
is now X. So he's impressed. He's impressed. We can work together. So that was how it started, and I came to the policy space to work on government or to critique government policy and to offer alternative recommendations, workable recommendations. So my work at Africa Education was basically is to influence policy. So I do educational research. I lead some of the researches into education, and then we use the researches the recommendations to engage the ministry and its agencies on some of the policy reforms that could be made, or some of the practice reforms that could be made. And beside that, doing a lot of media engagements. I barely will I see a day without one station calling me for an interview or the other. So I have to be on a number of media houses, platform to continue the education advocacy as an education specialist with Africa Education. So basically, this is what I do with Africa Education Watch, helping with educational research, using the research to influence policy at government level, and then also critiquing the policies that government actually introduces all the time. Yeah, so basically, that's how I moved from or transitioned from the classroom to the education policy influencing space.
Thank you very much. You're doing a great job. I actually read so much about you, and I, frankly speaking, I'm impressed. But being a senior this program officer, being a panelist on a World Bank program, you've been a panelist on UNESCO, you have been this in a consultant.
Yeah, no.
I've read all those things. There are colleague teachers on this platform. What are some of the skills that our colleagues should have in Ghana or in Africa to be able to maybe transition to be able to teach in other parts of the world? Maybe a teacher in Ghana, what skills should he or she have to be able to teach in the US?
All right, thank you. I always say if we are limited as Ghanaian teachers, we can difficult to fit into other contexts outside Ghana. As teachers, we must have this voracious appetite for reading around our work. That's very important. If we don't read around our work, then we don't even know what is happening in the space. So you must be up to date with the current happening in your space. So as a Ghanaian teacher, I you don't have to close at 3 o'clock and then the rest of the day is not used well. You can dedicate the rest of the day to be reading around your career, teaching what are the current trending things in the education space. What must I know? How must I equip myself with these new skills that are coming? What are some of the innovations that I could introduce in my class? When you begin like that, then you are preparing yourself that you could fit into those contexts outside Ghana to be able to really fit in. And so that even if you are being interviewed for jobs outside those places, you are not limited to what you know in Ghana. You have already broadened your mind about what to know. There are 21st century teaching approaches and pedagogies that teachers might know. I recall when I was teaching, I took online courses on some of those things to broaden myself about content areas, pedagogies, and what other teachers in other countries are introducing. And it's very important that you establish network with teachers, not just in Ghana, but outside Ghana. When you see me online, those days when I was in the class, you see me online on Twitter or Facebook, I'm connecting with teachers outside Ghana. And I recall one of the connections was for me to become a volunteer teacher with Kakuma refugees. Kakuma is in, what's the name of this country? Paul Kagame's country. What's the name?
Kenya?
Kenya,
No,
good.
okay.
Oh, that's Rwanda.
Rwanda, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's rather Kenya. Okay.
Kenya.
Kakuma is yeah, Kakuma is rather in Kenya, but Paul
Oh,
Kagame is the president of Rwanda. Yeah, so the country is not Rwanda, it's Kenya. So they have a refugee camp there, and they were not having adequate teachers. But there was this initiative that teachers across the globe could be teaching, volunteer to teach the student virtually. So you could be in Ghana or teaching them. The other teachers from US, other countries, UK, that were providing free teaching to those students. So within those teachers, the network of teachers have already established network with them. And I was learning the best practices, what they were also learning or bringing on board as teachers. So I had quite a knowledge about what is happening in other countries as far as teaching and learning is
mm,
concerned. It's very important for teachers to build that in network as well.
mm.
So when opportunities come, they can also easily jump on, and not just because of the opportunity, but because of whetting your own skill. You want to become a better teacher for yourself and also for your student. That is very important. And I must also add that as Ghanaian teachers, we must become interested in publishing. We should publish. It's very important. Let's let our ideas be felt. The world wants to read our ideas. As a teacher in your classroom, what what are the issues that are trending in the education space? Now we are discussing every day. I'm sure you have an opinion on it. You have an opinion on it. Write and publish. Create your own publish. Or there are newspapers or platforms that are ready. If you I send my articles to Joy News, they publish. CTFN, they publish. Daily Graphic, they publish. I recall those days I was sending to what's the name of this station? Unique FM, which is GBC radio.
Mm, mm,
The 1 o'clock news, they will be having something they call, they read a documentary or opinion. So opinions that people send to them, they read them out. I was sending to them, they were reading out. So those things, we should have opinions. And always, nobody's is neutral. We always have opinion on something. It's very
very true.
important
Mm,
important that you express your opinion and let the world read it. The more the world also read about yours, the more you are contributing to knowledge, and that is an opportunity you are creating for yourself. And even if not for the sake of transitioning to teach in another country, even fitting very well in this country, where your opinion could be respected, that will be fine. That is very important. But beyond transitioning or just for the teaching space, one other skill I feel teachers will need is the ability to analyze issue. It should be very analytical. It's very important. That skill is very important. And then also good writing skill, I think is critical. So these are few soft skills that I feel not just teachers in the modern day that we are in, people should have. We should have strong analytical skill. People should have good writing skill, because these are the skills that for me I feel are driving people in the workspace. Your ability to analyze issues.
mm,
And then if you have good writing skill, when you analyze, you can now put it in a good writing for
mm.
people to read and understand. So for me, I feel everybody should be able to develop themselves to have analytical skill and then also good writing skill.
Wow, that's so interesting. Now, it seems our program is almost getting to an end, but before I allow you to go, so being someone who is deeply rooted in education initiatives, how do you see technology impacting education in Africa?
All right. The place of technology cannot be emphasized enough in enhancing effective teaching and learning. I think COVID-19 even highlighted a very fact that we needed to strengthen our edtech space,
Mm,
educational technology space, especially because of crisis, how to deploy technology or keep teaching and learning going during crisis. Technology also plays critical role. However, it's very unfortunate that we haven't over the years developed or strengthened our educational technology space, whether from the users or the developers of educational technology. We haven't strengthened the space enough. And then interventions over the year by government, the various governments have been ad hoc. We were not having policy that actually provide a guidance or a coordination on how to effectively integrate technology into our space. So every government comes and tries to do their own thing. You heard about one student, one laptop, one teacher,
mhm,
one laptop, one student, one tablet. And there's no policy direction on what to be done. Even the laptop we've given to teachers, how to ensure that they integrate them into the school or the learning process. We haven't developed their capacity on that. So there's no structure on how we want technology to be integrated effectively in the teaching and learning process. So number one, it starts with having a well coordinated policy. So it's very important that the ministry has the ICT in education policy. I think one is being developed. One is being developed to ensure that it provides a strong guidance on how we can effectively deploy technology in teaching and learning. And then beside that, how is the technology even being infused in the teaching and learning process at the college level? You see, because if the teacher comes out deficient on using or integrating technology into the classroom, there's no amount of laptop you buy for that teacher and the teacher will put it to the best use. So you can do one laptop, one teacher, and but the teacher's capacity is not built, then it tells you that it is a zero initiative. So let's go back to our colleges of education and then integrate technology into the teaching process over there, and then also capacitate teachers on how they could integrate technology into the education space. But again, if you have not made the enabling or you've not created the enabling environment, no amount of technology you also deploy can help. For instance, if we are having a good number of our schools not connected to the national grid electricity, it won't help. And if you are having a good number of our rural areas not connected to internet, no amount of technology deployed can also effectively help. So it is important that we address some of the issues. And then one thing we must also have our mind to is that when we talk of technology, there are grades of technology. We call high tech technology and then low tech technology.
Okay.
So it may not always be the point that we are looking for the sophisticated technology to deploy in our classrooms or integrate in our teaching process. What are the available low-grade technologies that our minds could go on as a country? And that is where the SENLOS comes in. And the SENLOS is the center, government center that is responsible for distance education and stuff, and then technology issues. So they has the major responsibility to also ensure that they think through the box to identify some of the low tech technology that can be deployed, so that even if our rural areas are not connected to internet, then that low tech technology can still be deployed in
Mm.
such environment. So when we are talking about technology in our education space, too often our mind is so much on high tech technology. But our system is such that if we want to just focus on high tech technology, then a good number of students will be cut off because one, a good number of them are not connected to the internet. Even if there are internet, they may not be having digital devices that will
Mm.
connect them to the internet to be able to access them. So let's also explore the option of low tech technology that can be deployed in such environments where there are no internet or where it doesn't need sophisticated digital devices for students to enhance. But on a whole, it's very important that we come out with a policy as soon as possible to provide a policy directive and also on practice on how we want to integrate technology into our educational system.
Thank you. My last question, then I take your thought on something.
That's fine.
Being in a research or maybe this in analyst, do you think that the widespread of allegations about the weakening system of maybe let me put it this way, there has been a widespread of allegations that our senior high school graduates are not up to standard. Do you think that that could impact the quality of teachers that will be maybe trained in the coming years?
All right. Yes, it continues. This conversation that continues to be made that our senior high school may not be well baked before they complete the senior high school.
Mhm.
And this is not a function of current issue or a function of the free senior high school. It is been an ongoing conversation. That's why part of the educational reforms, you will recall the Anambra Mesa educational reform that took place, and that also led to senior high school being upgraded to 4-year certificate institution, awarding institution. So instead of 3 years, it was made 4 years, just that there could be enough time for students to be well prepared before they complete. Because senior high school, one of its functions is that at least by the time you are completing that, you should be somehow have skills that will make you somehow employable.
Mm,
So that's one of the functions of senior high school. But the question again comes: do they acquire get some of those skills when they are completing senior high school? Do we get them? The answer is generally not so well, because there's always a rush through the system and the temptation of what we call teaching to the test. Because there is so much curriculum content to cover,
mm,
and then there's a limited time to cover that. What we call teaching to the test, you just want the student to pass. So you are going to the teacher is looking for possible things that will come in the WASI, just to teach the students how to pass the examination without appropriate teaching approaches that will ensure students acquire the best skills before completing senior high school. So yes, the secondary school, that reform, there have been ongoing conversation on how we can position our secondary school to be more functional. And that is why we are even having a secondary school reform right now. A lot of reforms are happening in Ghana education space, and one of them is the secondary school reforms. Very in the 2025 academic year, which is next year, we'll start using a new curriculum in the senior high school,
yeah.
and that is the structure is so much nice. Students will have the ability to choose their own um, combination of elective courses. And this time it's no more about we have social science students, and these are the elective subjects for social science students, and hence the no. You can there are some wide combination of somebody can PE is even going to be an elective at that level. Student can choose. You can see a student selective science course and even adding PE to it and not something to it. I've had opportunity of sitting through the meetings of that curriculum designed, and that is and the content has also the volume has reduced to ensure that the key things that the student will need to learn before they complete now, they just focus on them. So by the end of the 3.5 years, 2.5 years in secondary school, they would have focused on key things without so much volume of content to be studied. So that reform is also ongoing. So yes, I agree with you that our secondary school system actually needs a reform that actually by the time students are completing, they have the adequate skills that will prepare them even somehow for the work of work, and those that want to progress to the next phase of education can easily progress. So we have a reform to be done at that level, and I'm glad that we are seeing a reform ongoing at the senior high school level. And again, I must add that it is not an issue because so much time this is reduced to the free SHS. Oh, free SHS is making secondary school poor, ineffective. Quality is reducing. I don't want us to be politicizing issues of education, because the moment we do that, then we are missing the mark on what we need to do to actually ensure that we improve. So that's why I'm making that. It's the challenges in the educational space have cut across the years. And when we are having it, we shouldn't take the political dimension, but able to have a discussion that actually diagnose the issues and then bring solutions to them.
Okay, thank you. This will be maybe an advice. I'm going to ask for a herbal, an advice from you. A lot of our colleagues are on this platform. I've been advising them to leave their classrooms to chase their dreams because maybe we have come to realize that maybe the classrooms are not really helping us. And it is always important that we chase our dreams. What sort of advice do you have for uh, teachers who intends to be like you maybe in the coming years?
All right. If the teacher feels, I would say if you don't have the passion and interest, you can't remain there. And if you are there and then you are not fulfilled, you can't enter the classroom and give out your very best.
Yes, it's true.
So I'm not saying all teachers should leave the classroom, because of course we need teachers in the classroom. I only strongly feel that, look, you have had a holistic review of your career path and you feel like you don't want to remain in the teaching, then you look at what path actually you want to follow. And there are a lot of opportunities that are available for you to be able to develop yourself to have that skill to transition to a career path you think actually you would have been best suited in for. Yeah, there are online programs, not just the one that you pay for, but there are free online courses that actually give you skills, employable skills in the space that you want to transition to. Very important. When I transitioned from teaching to the policy space, nobody taught me about how to analyze. I didn't go to any school to learn about how to analyze education policy. I studied myself. I was reading enough on myself while I was still teaching. After school, I sit down and take online courses on policy analysis, and also broaden my knowledge on most of the issues on research, because I know most of the issues also bordered on research. So I was still developing myself on research, conducting, and then also program and evaluation. So when I was transitioning, it wasn't difficult for me because I've already had the skill. Yes, coming on a job also helped me to continuously build my skill. But I already have sat down and built a skill before transitioning. So it wasn't that I've come to the space now to learn from the scratch. No, and I've had evidence of stuff that I have done that my boss could just quickly rely on, that I could come to the space and help. So yes, for me, I feel such people, I'm being emphatic about this one. People who feel that the career that they are in as teacher is not what they wanted to, but they have a different career path that they want to actually get into. It's very important that they begin to whet their skill in those areas, and not necessarily going to pay in a university to start. You can start by looking for free skill acquisition courses online and begin with that. And when there are options that you could now take courses in those lines, you could also take those courses in an institution to get the certificate that will also help you transition. But again, I won't say I know people will not be happy that I'll say I'm still going the same. I won't say teaching is bad. It's all about how we want to be known as teachers. When I was teaching, even if I have not left teaching and I'm still teaching, I know I'll still find way of continuing to influence policy, because I told you, even right in the classroom, I was still trying to influence staff in many different ways. So we may not necessarily have to also leave teaching, but we can still be teachers. And when we develop ourselves very well, the world will be ready to listen to us, because we have something to tell them that they must listen to. I feel strongly that beyond the idea that we can only teach and then the student will learn, I don't think that's the end of teachers. Teachers can do a lot. We people put us in high esteem, and if we are able to demonstrate that we have sound opinion on issues happening in the country and able to share our opinion on them, that a well thought opinion informed, that is being informed by research or informed by somebody who has showed that I have read, it helps people who want to pay attention to us. So for me, we need to position ourselves in the space such that people want to listen to us. And while we are teachers, we can still make an impact wherever we find ourselves, and even on the national scale and global scale.
That's interesting. But I think gone were the days that our brothers and sisters have been pursuing their passion. But I think the time has really passed. That was in perhaps the Stone Age. Now the world is revolving. So
Yeah,
being a classroom teacher in Ghana may not necessarily help you to be fulfilled.
I agree.
You were a teacher. How many teachers, perhaps maybe at the basic schools level, will be able to pay the tuition fee of their wards at the medical school? How many teachers will be able to do that? That becomes a major problem.
Yeah. I agree with you. I largely agree with you that, yeah, mostly when teachers want to transition, at times it's not because they don't like the teaching, but because what it pays, what comes out up at the end of the month, not sufficient to take them through the month. So, and that actually even kills the passion. So, what we actually need as a country, of course, is to be very frank to ourselves to have a conversation on how to ensure that education revolves around the teacher. If you want to talk about quality learning, it revolves around a teacher, not just a teacher, it revolves around a qualified, a well trained teacher, and a motivated teacher. So the teacher must be well trained, the teacher must be well motivated. If you train the teacher very well, and then you are not motivating the teacher very well, then it becomes an issue. So we are doing quite a lot in trying to ensure that our teachers are well trained. Look at the reforms that are happening at the colleges of education level to ensure that teachers come out well. Now we've introduced licensure. Even in-service continuous professional development introduced for in-service teachers as well, just to ensure that they have the skill and they are best fit into our classroom, which tells you that we are investing in one-trained teachers to ensure that we capacitate our teachers to be the very best to deliver effective teaching and learning in our classroom. The other leg is for that teacher now to be well motivated. And when we talk of motivation, it comes in different form. The classroom environment alone should be a motivation for the teacher. But ultimately, of course, the salary, that is also another level of motivation. And I agree with you that teachers are underpaid with the service that they render. I feel a lot could be done, but again, I feel that teacher unions, I must be frank, teacher unions are not helping. And I strongly believe that they are not helping. They could have done quite better to ensure that they make the case for the teacher when it comes to the teacher motivation or improving the lot of teachers. It's very important for the teacher unions to resit and see what could be done. They are traveling up and the leaders are traveling from one country to the other. What are other countries doing to improve teacher motivation when it comes to salary? And what could they advocate for in a country? I think a lot would have to be done by the teacher unions for us to ensure that we improve the lot of syllabus. Because honestly, if we want to talk about teachers changing career, most of them will not be able to veer off from the current career, but how to ensure that we improve the system that it's accommodating for the teacher. And at the end of the month, the teacher goes home and smiles. That's very important. But as I mentioned from the onset, that the teacher's personal financial management skill are also very important, such that what you receive, you're also able to put it to good use.
Thank you, my brother. I'm so grateful for the time that you've spent with us. Frankly speaking, I was having a discussion with somebody, and I was telling the person that I was thinking you were going to give me a tough time to be able to come to an agreement with you to be on the show today, but you really, really surprised me. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. And even though I have 1,001 questions for you, but you've been talking for an hour and 30 minutes, so I
Yeah,
think it's time I have to let you go. I'm so grateful. On behalf of everybody, thank you so much. And it is my expectation that more doors will be open to you. And who knows, maybe the next time you'll be on the show, maybe you will be elsewhere. God bless you so much. God bless you.
amen.
I'm
Thank
grateful.
you so much. Thanks again for the opportunity. And I'm always available. There's a need to share thoughts on one or two things
Okay. Okay.
to clarify issues on education or policy issues, practice issues that you feel your audience needs clarification or some education on. I'm always available. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Okay. Then see you guys next week, Saturday, for another edition of Teachers Diary. Bye bye.